The nature of disease. There are two realms into which diseases can penetrate and spread. The first is that of matter, that is to say, the body. It is here that all diseases lurk and dwell. The other realm is not material, it is the spirit of the body, which lives in it intangible and invisible, and which can suffer from exactly the same diseases as the body. But because the body has no share in this life, it is the ens spirituale, the spiritual active principle from which the disease springs. Therefore, there are two kinds of disease, the spiritual and the material. The entia, the active principles or influences which govern our bodies and do violence to them, are the following. The stars have a force and efficacy that has power over our body, so that it must always be ready to serve them. The virtue of the stars is called ens astrorum, and it is the first ens to which we are subjected. The second power that governs us and that inflicts diseases upon us is ens venendi, the influence of poison. Even if the stars are sound and have done no injury to the subtle body in us, this ens can destroy us. Therein we are subject to it, and cannot defend ourselves against it. The third ens is a power that injures and weakens our body, even when the two other influences are beneficent. It is called ens naturale, the natural constitution. If it goes astray or disintegrates, our body becomes sick. From this, many other diseases. Indeed, all diseases can arise, even if the other entia are sound. The fourth ens, the ens spirituale, the spiritual entity, can destroy our bodies and bring various diseases upon us. And even if all four entia are propitious to us, and are sound, yet the fifth ens, the ens dii, can make our bodies sick. Therefore, none of the entia deserves as much attention as this last one, for by it one can recognize the nature of all other diseases. Note, moreover, that the various diseases do not come from one cause, but from five. Even while still in the womb, unborn, man is burdened with the potentialities of every disease and is subject to them. And because all diseases are inherent in his nature, he could not be born alive and healthy if an inner physician were not hidden in him. But wherever diseases are, there are also physicians and medicine. Every natural disease bears its own remedy within itself. Man has received from nature both the destroyer of health and preserver of health. And just as the destroyer strives continuously to destroy and to kill man, so the preserver works with equal vigor and zeal to preserve him. What the first strives to shatter and destroy, the innate physician repairs. The destroyer finds in the body the instruments that help him in his destructive work. Just as in the outside world a mason can wreck and has tools for this purpose, just as another mason has tools for building, so both, the destroyer and the preserver, have tools for wrecking and tools for building. The body possesses the high art of wrecking and also of restoring. Who can protect himself from harm and disaster if he does not know his enemy? No one. Hence it is indispensable to know him. For there are enemies of many kinds, and it is necessary to know the evil as well as the good. Who can know what joy is if he has never been sad or in pain? And who can properly discover what God is if he knows nothing of the devil? Just as God reveals to us the enemy of our soul, namely the devil, so he also reveals to us the enemy of our life, namely death. And furthermore, he reveals to us the enemy of our body, the enemy of our health, the enemy of medicine, and the enemy of all natural things. But at the same time, he reveals to us by what means this enemy can be disarmed. For there is no sickness against which some remedy has not been created and established. To drive it out and cure it, there is always some remedy, a herb against one disease, a root against another, a water against one, a stone against another, a mineral against one, a poison against another, a metal against one, something else against another. The nature and force of a disease must be discovered by their cause, and not by their symptoms. For we must not merely extinguish the smoke of the fire, but the fire itself. If we want the earth to produce better grass, we must plow it, and not merely tear out the bad grass. Similarly, the physician should direct his thought to the origin of the disease, not only to that which his eyes see, for in this he would see but the symptoms and not the origin. Similarly, smoke is only the symptom of the fire, not the fire itself. God alone preserves the body in life. He wants us to have a long life and therefore provides us with many kinds of help and support. He even forces and compels our enemies to strengthen our life. God help us to gain salvation and good fortune from our enemies and those who hate us. Whencesoever comes our help, it is always from God. Behold the thistle amidst its thorns. It hates us so much that the thorns forbid us to touch the flower, and if we touch it, they prick us strongly and refuse us admission, to prevent us from obtaining the medicine that lies hidden in it, but who for that reason would reproach the thistle, which is otherwise so beneficent to us. Even though it hates our bodies, it must help them recover health. And even if the devil himself told us that silver and gold bring us salvation and medicine, or have the power to free us from prisons and dungeons, even this would be in fulfillment of God's command. There where diseases arise, there also can one find the roots of health. For health must grow from the same root as disease, and whither health goes, thither also disease must go. Just as the sun and the moon are separated from each other, although they formerly were one thing, so health and disease were one thing, and later they were separated from each other, just as the sun was from the moon. And just as these wane and wax in the sphere of heaven, and now one or the other appears, so also are all the stars woven into the body. This you should know, and similarly distributed, and the same is true of the forms in which health and disease are manifested. For all of them must be present in the body in order that the inner firmament may be whole, and that the number of the parts may be full. It is well known and evident that in the course of time, heaven brings many diseases, and that no healthy person can protect itself from them. A healthy man must submit to heaven, and every day he must await what it sends him. For the course of the heavens is wonderful, and just as wonderfully are men placed in nature. Just as time can bring rain, roses, flowers, and shape, all things from their beginnings to their ends, and no one can stop it, so can it also make diseases break out at will. The physician must never forget that time can do this, or he will be unable to discover what is possible and what is impossible, and to understand what he can nevertheless undertake, to inspire people with respect for the medical art that God has created, and to prevent the disease from getting worse, for this cannot be the intention of God. Time is a brisk wind. For each hour it brings something new. Just as the people's thoughts change every hour and are different 12 times a day, and no one knows them except God alone. So it is. With time, again and again, it brings something new. But who can understand and measure its sharp breath, its mystery and its design? Therefore the physician must not think himself too important, for over him there is a master, time, which plays with him as the cat plays with the mouse. Health and sickness are granted by God. Nothing comes from man. You should divide the diseases of man into those which arise in a natural way, and those that come upon us as God's scourges. For take good note of it. God has sent us some diseases as a punishment, as a warning, as a sign by which we know that all our affairs are naught, that our knowledge rests upon no firm foundation, and that the truth is not known to us, but that we are inadequate and fragmentary in all ways, and that no ability or knowledge is ours. Because it is God who has given us disease, he could, when the time were proper and the limit of our purgatory had come, take it away from us, even without the physician. If he fails to do so, it is only because he does not want this to be accomplished without the help of man. If he works a miracle, he does it only in the human way and through man. If he makes us healthy by a miracle, he does it through a man. Every disease is a kind of purgatory. The physician should know this and bear it in mind, lest he presume to determine in advance the time of recovery or the efficacy of his remedies. For this lies solely in God's hands. If Providence has decided otherwise than your physician's intent, you will not be able to cure the patient by any remedy. But if the hour of Providence has struck, you will succeed in curing him. Note that if a patient comes to you and recovers through your remedy, God has sent him to you. But if he does not recover, he was not sent by God. Only when the hour of recovery strikes for the patient does God send him to the physician, not before. All those who go to him before go in vain. God has created remedies against the diseases, and he has also created the physician, but he holds them back until the hour predestined for the patient. Only when the time has been fulfilled and not before does the course of nature and art set in. Often the remedy is deemed the highest good because it helps so many. But is not he who created it for the sake of the sick body more than the remedy? And is not he who cures the soul, which is more than the body, greater? Here then lies the supreme good. It is more than that which takes the disease away from the body and preserves the body. Men and all creatures here on earth are subject to God. It is he who decrees fortune and misfortune for them. And to the end that you may well understand this, take good note that there are two kinds of chastisement, administered by God. The first he sends you in your lifetime, the other after death. God is the master who measures the disease in the stars. He has ordered everything according to his wisdom. Who can fathom it? The patient who pins his hope on the medicament is not a Christian, but he who puts his hope in God is a Christian.